You are a domesticated animal. Not tamed, domesticated. The same thing that happened to the wolf that became the dog, and the wild boar that became the pig, happened to your own species, and it happened to you. You already carry the evidence. It is in your face. Compare your skull to the skull of a human who lived 40,000 years ago, and yours is softer, smaller, gentler. Your brow ridge has shrunk, your jaw has pulled back, your teeth are smaller, even your brain is smaller than the brains of the Ice Age hunters who came before you, by about a tenth. You look, in the most literal sense, like a tamer version of your own ancestors. And nobody bred you on purpose. So who did this? Who domesticated the human being? The unsettling answer scientists keep arriving at is that we did it to ourselves. To see why that idea is so strange and so convincing, you have to start with a fox. In 1959, a Soviet scientist named Dmitri Belyaev began one of the longest experiments in the history of biology. He took ordinary silver foxes, farm foxes, wild and snapping, and he selected them for one single quality. Not size, not color, not intelligence, only tameness. In every generation, he let the calmest, least fearful, least aggressive foxes breed, and no others. That was the entire rule. Choose the friendly ones. Repeat. What happened next should not have happened. Within a handful of generations, the foxes did not just get friendlier, they started to change shape. Their ears went floppy, their tails began to curl, their coats broke out in patches of white, especially on the face. Their snouts got shorter, their skulls more rounded, and they held on to the playful, yappy curiosity of cubs long into adulthood. Belyaev had selected for behavior, for a calm mind, and somehow a whole package of physical traits came along for the ride. Traits nobody had asked for. Biologists have a name for that package. They call it domestication syndrome. Floppy ears, curly tails, patchy coats, shorter faces, smaller teeth, a longer childhood, a more playful temperament. You see it again and again across domesticated animals. Dogs have it, pigs have it, horses, goats, rabbits, even domesticated birds show pieces of it. Select an animal for friendliness across enough generations, and you seem to get the same suite of changes, as if gentleness and a softer body are somehow tied together at the root. Now look back at that human skull. The smaller face, the reduced brow, the smaller teeth, the rounder head, the astonishingly long childhood, the playfulness we keep our whole lives. We have the syndrome too. This is the argument the primatologist Richard Wrangham lays out in his work on human origins. He points out that our species shows the telltale signature of domestication written right across our bodies. The very same signature Belyaev accidentally switched on in his foxes. And if the signature is there, then somewhere in our past, something must have been selecting us, generation after generation, for tameness, for tolerance, for the ability to be near other people without exploding into violence. But we had no breeder. No farmer chose which humans would have children. So the selection had to come from somewhere else. It had to come from inside the group. Here is the theory, and it is a dark one. Imagine an early human community. Among them is a bully, a big, aggressive, domineering man who takes what he wants, intimidates everyone, and hurts people who get in his way. In a chimpanzee troop, that individual might rise to the top and stay there because raw strength wins. But humans had something chimpanzees did not: language, planning, the ability to talk quietly to one another, to agree and to act together. And so, Wrangham argues, the others did something no single one of them could do alone. They cooperated to remove him. They ganged up, and the bully was driven out or killed. Do that in every generation, across thousands of generations, and you have a breeding program. Not for the biggest or the strongest, but against the hot-tempered and the tyrannical. The aggressive, reactive men leave fewer children. The calmer, more cooperative, more self-controlled men survive and thrive. Slowly, the whole species is filed down toward tolerance. We executed our way to gentleness. The biologist Hare calls this survival of the friendliest. In his research, he argues that for humans and for our nearest cousins, the winners of evolution were not always the fiercest. Sometimes, they were the ones who could stay calm, read a partner, work together, and be trusted. Friendliness, he shows, is not weakness. It is a survival strategy, and it may be the one that made us who we are. The humans who could cooperate outcompeted the humans who could only dominate. And Hare has a living example of the same process happening in the wild, with no humans involved at all. Consider two apes that look almost identical, the chimpanzee and the bonobo. They split from a common ancestor relatively recently, and they share nearly all of our own DNA. But their personalities could not be more different. Chimpanzees are tense, territorial, and often violently aggressive. Bonobos are famously peaceful, playful, tolerant, and cooperative. And when you look at the bonobo's body, you find it too. A smaller skull, smaller teeth, a more juvenile face that it keeps into adulthood. Hare argues that bonobos are a self-domesticated ape, tamed not by a human hand, but by their own social world, where the aggressive were pushed to the margins and the friendly flourished. If it happened to them on its own in the forest, then it can happen to an ape without a farmer. It can happen to us. So what is the machinery underneath all of this? Why should choosing for a calm temperament also shrink a face and curl a tail? In 2014, a team including Richard Wrangham, along with the biologists Adam Wilkins and Tecumseh Fitch, proposed an answer that ties the whole strange package together. It focuses on a group of cells in the developing embryo called neural crest cells. Early in development, these cells migrate through the body and help build an enormous range of things. Part of the adrenal glands, which drive the fight or flight response. The pigment cells that color the skin and fur. The cartilage and bone of the face and jaw. Parts of the teeth and the ears. Now, think about what that list contains. Fear response, coloration, face shape, jaw, teeth, ears. It is, almost item for item, the list of things that change in domestication syndrome. The theory says that when you select for tameness, you are quietly selecting for animals whose neural crest cells are slightly fewer or slightly slower to arrive where they are going. A milder fear system comes first, because that is what you are choosing for. But the same gentle deficit ripples outward, and the ears, the snout, the teeth, the coat, all shift along with it. One small change, early in development, scattered across the whole body. Pull that single thread, and gentleness, a softer face and smaller teeth all unravel together. That is why the fox got floppy ears when Belyaev only ever asked for calm. And it may be why you have a flatter face and smaller teeth than your Ice Age ancestors. Because somewhere along the line, your species was selecting hard for the ability to get along. And getting along changed everything. A tolerant ape is a dangerous thing, in the best possible way. Once you can sit close to a stranger without fear, you can share food, you can share tools, you can teach a child slowly, patiently, over years. You can pool what you know with what someone else knows, and pass the sum to the next generation, who add to it again. Tolerance is the soil that culture grows in. It is very hard to build language, teaching, trade, and cooperation on top of a mind that treats every other individual as a threat. Domestication may have been the quiet precondition for all of it. We had to tame ourselves before we could build anything together. But there is a shadow inside this story, and honesty requires that we name it. Because the same cooperation that let our ancestors remove a bully is also the capacity for organized, planned, collective violence. Wrangham draws a careful line between two kinds of aggression. There is reactive aggression, the hot, impulsive, explosive kind, the bar fight, the sudden rage. Self-domestication seems to have turned that down in us. We are far calmer, moment to moment, than a chimpanzee. But there is also proactive aggression, the cold, planned, deliberate kind. And that, he argues, we did not lose. If anything, the same skills that let a group calmly agree to eliminate a threat are the skills behind the ambush, the raid, the execution, the war. We became the tamest of apes and the most coldly calculating killers at the same time, and for the same reason. That is the paradox of the domesticated human, gentler in the moment than almost any wild animal, and capable of violence more organized than any wild animal could dream of. Both of those things grew from the same root, the day our ancestors learned to turn on their own. So look in the mirror again, that soft, round, friendly face, those small teeth, that childlike capacity for play you never quite grow out of. You have spent your whole life thinking of yourself as simply human, as the natural default shape of a person. But you are not the wild type. You are the tamed one, shaped over thousands of generations by the oldest and strangest breeder of all. You are a domesticated animal. Nobody put you in a cage or chose you from a litter. Your own kind did it, slowly, by choosing again and again to live beside the gentle and turn away from the cruel. Until gentleness settled into the bone of your face and the size of your teeth and the length of your childhood. The tameness you see looking back at you is not a lack of something wild. It is the record of how we survived each other.